Hi friends, Mindy here. I am going to be sharing this scripture mapping journal with you today. This is a journal that I received from Butter and Honey. I reached out to Monique on Instagram and asked if she would be willing to send me a journal for review. I just want to be transparent about how I received this journal. I have been seeing this journal posted about. Been seeing people use it, and I've been intrigued by the layout of this journal. I think it has a lot of really interesting features that I'm excited to use. And so I reached out to her. She very, very kindly sent me this journal. I'm very appreciative of it. And I just wanted to put that out there. And so I'm just going to go through sort of some of the specifics of the journal and then sort of my thoughts on it. So it's about the same size as the verse map journal that I have from the James Method. It's just ever so slightly shorter. It's about 11.5 inches tall. So this is a big journal. It's about 8.5 inches wide. So it takes up a good size. Again, there is a large version though of this journal, and then there is a mini version that she has, and then of course different colors of cover options as well. It does have a ribbon bookmark in it. The pages inside are a sort of cream color with a gray dot grid, and you have kind of this banner section up here. Let me make sure I'm in camera, that you could write, you know, your topic or whatever, and then you have this sort of main focal circle, and then you have these two areas. This one is context and cross references, and then everything else is dot grid in it, and it's just you know, the 2-page spread, just this same idea repeated out throughout. So in the front of this journal, of course, you have your ownership page there, and then you have a verse from King James. And then in here, she's talking about how to use this particular journal for scripture mapping. And so she talks about some references that you might use, some tools, and then she goes into a few different ways that you can utilize this journal that may be different from other journals. And so one of the first suggestions that she lists, which I think is such a great idea actually, is character mapping. So taking a look at the life of one of the characters in the Bible. So this example here is Abigail, and kind of where her story can be found and some different things about her. And there's just some directions kind of going down through here for how you can use this journal to sort of map out some ideas. Of course, it's very free form, so you could do really whatever you want to do. Then there are some information, some directions for word mapping if you're wanting to focus on a specific word or topic, how you can do that. And then she does have one for like a Bible verse mapping. Again, I use the James Method for that. But this is a very useful study as well. But this would be a good way if you wanted to have everything kind of all in one place. And I'm not really intending to kind of compare the two, because I think that these are going to work sort of in tandem, in at least in my own studies. But I want to focus on this word mapping aspect, because this is the way that I tend to study most often. Whenever I have been asked to do devotionals, or when I do our women's meetings at church, I usually tend to start with a word or a topic and go from there. That's just how my brain, I guess, works. And I usually start with like a definition, and I write that out, and then a Bible definition. Sometimes, you know, those usages are a little bit different, and I just kind of go through there. And I just really feel like this is going to be a good way to sort of organize all that information, because you can really kind of brainstorm it out and just sort of get all your information out there, and then help you kind of organize it, especially because it has like the context and the cross references here in these two sections. And of course, if you have other information that you know, if you're wanting to do history, or if you're wanting to do something else, or, you know, other words, or however you want to do that, you could always just cover these up and, you know, use these sections for something else. So I really am excited to try this. I will say, when I opened this up for the first time and I looked at the dot grid on it, I thought this grid is really large. So if you are a person who writes really small, or smaller than me maybe, this might seem very, very large. You could probably even double up your handwriting in here. These boxes are pretty big. And I also noticed the only other kind of thing that just to my eye is a little bit difficult to sort of navigate is that the dots are kind of dark. And maybe that's just because I do use other dot grid type journals for things. My planner is a dot grid journal. And so I'm used to a smaller grid and a lighter grid. So that may just be me personally, but I have noticed that in my personal planner, when I am using that dot grid planner, I sometimes feel like I need to skip lines in it because my writing is so big. But I feel like, I feel like this is going to be okay personally for me for how I write. And as I was doing some pen testing, I realized this is, actually probably going to be better for just my style of handwriting. But it also gives you the ability to really, color sections out or add things to it without really taking up so much of the dot grid. So there are actually some benefits to it for being this big. And I'm not sure the scale of this, if the scale is the same in the mini journal or not. I reached out to her to get that information. I just haven't gotten an answer yet. So I would be interested to see if the scale is the same in the mini journal. I know that the setup of the pages is a little bit different. I think like these are over to the side, but at any rate, I went ahead and just tried all of the pens that I could find. Basically, I'd used this back page just for pen tests. And so my most often used pens I have back here in the back. And so I started with the Zebra Click Art because I think these are fun pens to use, but they're hard to use in a dot grid, my other dot grid journal, because they are larger size. Some people would even use this maybe as more of a highlighter. I do tend to use it as a pen. This is the pen itself right here. I'm trying to see if I have this is the box, just to show you what it looks like. I really love it. I love that it's retractable because I'm always losing pen lids. So this is the light color palette, and it's just, they advertise it as a marker pen. So just that being said, that's what these two pens are up here. Of course, my beloved Sharpie S-Gel, that is my most used pen. I tried out some Microns. I did try a Faber-Castell that was a small nib, and for me that just definitely got lost in the grid there. But then I also went into some of my other pens, like my my Tombos, my Pentel Signs, my kind of calligraphy type pens, my Poscas even. I tried some of those. I wanted to try my new Sharpie creative markers in here as well. And as you can see, there is zero bleed through. This paper is pretty good quality, pretty thick paper. And I was really excited about that because I have a struggle with that when I'm taking notes and things are bleeding through. It's actually why I use the journal that I do for my bullet journaling, which is a whole other subject. But I went through all of these. I went through a Faber-Castell Pitt, and these are lighter colors, but there's just not even shadowing. So I have a Papermate Flare, some Inkjoys, my Pilot fountain pen. I will say this is one that did kind of feather out a little bit, but that's pretty typical for fountain pen ink, so I really wasn't worried about that. I did some Rytec brush tips. I also did some other, this was my dual brush marker from Tombow. The only pen that I really had an issue with was my Uniball Air, and it's just a really, really dark pen. It did actually shadow just a little bit. You can see it kind of ghosted a little bit there, and maybe if I had paused even a longer second, it may have actually bled through. But that's kind of a problem that I have with that Uniball Air pen just in general. It's a pretty inky pen. So I did a needlepoint pen, all the pens I could think of. I did some highlighters as well just to test those. Everything, like I said, except that Uniball, which it really just only ghosted, was totally fine. So this paper is a nice quality. It is more like a cream color than a white, but that doesn't really bother me too much. It reminds me more of like my interleaved Bible color page. And you can kind of see the shadowing from the print back behind it because, again, these kind of things they're printed a little bit, it's a little bit dark. That would be my only really a sort of drawback for me personally, is I wish that the grid on here, the dots were just a little bit lighter, a little bit more faded back. I don't mind these being this dark, but I wish that the grid was a little bit lighter so that the focus was more on my writing. You can kind of see that the grid even over here is a little bit distracting. Not so much where the writing is, but definitely like in the open spaces. It just feels like it's kind of competing. So I have some ideas to kind of work around that, and that may just be a totally personal preference kind of thing. I know lots of people are using these journals and loving them, and I'm excited, super excited to get to use it. I am super excited to do my first word study in here. And I have a new resource that I just got, which is another book of the women of the Bible. And so I think I may actually do some of these character studies in here as well. I think that might be really fun. You could even do like the characteristics of God, or the names of God, or, you know, just all kinds of things. There's really, the sky's the limit with the ability to be able to map things out in this kind of journal. So I'm very excited to try it, and I'm very appreciative again of Monique to send it to me. And I just kind of wanted to include my, you know, honest thoughts on it. Like, my only real drawback to it is the dots, and like both the size and the darkness. So I, even myself, as writing as large as I do, would prefer a smaller, maybe just ever so slightly. But again, that is, you know, just total personal preference, and I don't think that it's going to affect my ability to be able to use this journal. But and I'm very excited to get into it. So I had a thought though, if there's something that you would like to see me kind of work through in this journal and do a video about that, let me know what that would be in the comments. Give a suggestion of something you'd like to see studied out, and maybe I can do a video on that as well. Just kind of the study, the art, you know, the heart behind all of the art things that I do here on my channel. So I know I have shared just a little bit about my verse mapping journal, and that is, in my own mind anyway, that's kind of a completely separate process. So, and it's a different thing, the way that I do my really in-depth verse mapping, where I take, you know, you take one verse and really kind of blow that verse apart and focus on all the different words that are in it and those kinds of things. And so I feel like there's lots of room for all of these tools, and anything that gets you in the word and studying is just a good thing. So I will link Monique's shop down below if you are interested in getting one of these journals for yourself. I'm not an affiliate or anything. I just, like I said, I reached out to her and asked if she would mind sending me one that I could review and see. Super excited and so grateful that she did that. And I hope that this video was helpful to you. If you liked it, I would appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And until next time, bye.